Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 762A, and today's date is September 10th, 2015, and the title of this episode is The Economy is Continually Showing Signs of Collapsing. Now, before I get started, I just want to make an announcement of what happened yesterday and today with the site. The site was attacked. It started at midnight and went all through the morning, and it really got really intense around 6 or 7 in the morning or so, and the hosting company decided that they didn't want to have this interfere with their other customers, so they disconnected the database, so the site went down. And during that time, they said the site was compromised. Yes, something has happened. They don't know exactly what it is. And what I started to do was take the database and the files and move them to a backup server. So this way, the site can go back up and run. And this is what I'm doing. I'm creating the primary and a backup server. So if this ever happens again, I can switch right over to the backup server. But yes, the site was attacked. It brought it down. And it took me pretty much the entire day to get it up and running once again. But it looks like the site is running. It looks like everything is back to normal. A couple things I need to fix. The form, maybe some other little things here and there, but it looks like everything is back to normal. I know everyone was emailing me, commenting on YouTube, and I tried to answer some people. I put some comments on YouTube to let you know the site was attacked. The best place I think to go when something like this does occur is the Twitter account, which is Twitter/X22 Report. And there I was updating what was happening. So if you wanted to follow X22 Report on Twitter, you can do that. And this way I can get the message out there of what is happening. Because it's just impossible for me to answer all the emails that are coming in and work on the server. Again, I'm a one-man shop here. I don't have a crew of people working. It's just me. So I can't be in all places at once, but I do appreciate everyone's concern, what was going on, and I was just concentrating on getting everything back to normal. Let's get right into the economic collapse financial news. We're going to head out to Greece and talk about what's been going on there. Now, the central bankers, they got their way. They had the government fold. They didn't listen to the people. The government didn't listen to the people. No one cared. And we see that this entire situation is not going to improve. I mean, we're already seeing that the economy in Greece is getting worse. I mean, unemployment went from 25%, now it's at 25.2%. And this is a slight increase from June. Well, any little increase at 25% is huge, because that means there are even more people not working in Greece. And Greece is not the only country we see this in. I mean, if we really look around, and if we look at each one of these countries, Italy, France, Portugal, Spain, unemployment is skyrocketing. They have a huge amount of debt. And if we look back here in the United States, we really see the same thing. There's really no difference. It's just that the United States government, the central bankers, are a little bit better at covering it up, at manipulating everything. And of course, we have the ability to create/print money. But what's very interesting about all of this, and they continually say, oh, manufacturing is coming back to the United States. We see improvements, we see recovery. Everything is just fine. But when we really break through all the propaganda, we see completely different and opposite things that they're talking about. I mean, let's take, for example, manufacturing. Manufacturing was the driving force here in America. And since the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, even going into the 70s, at that point it started to deteriorate. It started to break down, fall apart. And as time went on, it got worse. I mean, think about this for a second. Those employed by the government in the United States in August of this year outnumbered the employed in the manufacturing sector by almost 18 to 1. And this is coming from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. There were 21.9 million employed by the federal, state, and local governments in the United States in August. And again, this is from the BLS. And we had 12.3 million employed in the manufacturing sector. In the first 50 years of the 76-year span since then, manufacturing outemployed government. But in August of 1989, government overtook manufacturing as the U.S. employer. And this is, of course, when they started shipping a lot of the jobs overseas, when they began. And to make up for those jobs leaving, we had government jobs. In that month of August of 1989, the government employed 17.9 million people, and manufacturing employed 17.9 million people. Since then, the government employment increased by 4 million. Manufacturing declined by 5.6 million. So what are we seeing here? We're seeing for every manufacturing job, they added a government job. Now, of course, this is why we have the government completely bloated the way we see it today. They needed to do this. Why? Well, they needed to keep the job numbers. They have to keep it like everything is fine here. We see the same thing happening today. I mean, how much more can the government take on? So it switched from manufacturing, and we talked about this quite often, where we had manufacturing declining and waiters and bartenders, the service jobs, increasing at the same pace. So we are not recovering. Manufacturing is not improving. If we go back over time, it just got worse and worse and worse. And we see right now that this economy is completely in collapse mode. I mean, there's no other way to explain it. I mean, if we look at everything, retail, for example, the retail numbers came out, national chain stores, the sales have fallen by 1.3% in the first week of September. Actually, this is normally a good time for sales because it's all back to school. Now, they can't blame it on the weather because it didn't snow. I guess they could say it was too sunny, too warm, too sticky outside, but that's not going to fly. They'll use every other excuse except the economy. And during this recovery, we've seen many retail stores close. Now, Macy's just announced they're going to be closing 35 to 40 stores in early 2016. 35 to 40 stores. The largest department store. Now, if we're truly in this recovery, unemployment's at 5.1%, near full employment, people are making money. Why is retail contracting so much? Why is manufacturing declining? Why are inventories building up? Think about this. The only way to cut through all this is that their statistics they're throwing at us, they're fake. That's it. That's the only way to look at this. Because when we really look at this, we see, yeah, this makes no sense whatsoever. I mean, Seagate is going to be laying off 1,000 people. Morrison Stores International, 11 branches, 900 jobs. Lockheed Martin, 500. Samsung is going to be laying off 10% of their headquarters staff. The Baltic Dry Index, which is the raw material they use for manufacturing, and we know that they're not manufacturing because we see retail contracting. We see consumers, they're not spending. That's all shrinking. So, but the Baltic Dry Index is falling, and it has fallen 25 points. It is now down to 830. We know that people aren't purchasing homes. Mortgage applications are down 6.2%. If these interest rates tick up just a little bit, it is going to be a disaster, a complete disaster for real estate. It's going to be what happened in 2008. Actually, it's going to be a lot worse because we have a lot of people out there with adjustable rate mortgages. And if these interest rates tick up, they will not be able to afford these homes. New people coming into the market, it will kick them out of the market instantly. And mortgage applications are going to take a huge dive. They know this. The bubble would pop in about 2 seconds. We understand Puerto Rico, just like Greece, it's collapsing. They're going to run out of cash by the end of the year. They're going to have a $13 billion shortfall. FT reports, according to the report of the so-called working group, the Treasury's single cash account and government development bank would exhaust available liquidity before the end of the year, creating a cash shortfall in November or December. In other words, Puerto Rico is exactly like Greece. The only difference is Puerto Rico doesn't have any negotiating leverage to threaten leaving the dollar. I mean, there's nothing there. And the government can't bail out Puerto Rico. So we have a problem. Puerto Rico is going to default. Of course, they're going to call it a payment moratorium. And they're going to say, no one defaulted. We don't have to make the credit default swap payments. The derivatives are okay. Everything is fine. Look over there. We're pushing the stock market up. At least we're trying to. And when we look at this market, we see it is completely fluctuating up and down like crazy. I mean, Japan shot their market up 1,000 points, and then it dropped almost as much. I mean, these are huge swings. But we experienced all this before. This is nothing new. This is exactly what you see when we're moving into a collapse situation. Back in 2008, 9 of the 20 largest single-day declines in the stock market history happened that year. 9 of the 20 largest single-day increases in the stock market history also happened in that year. We are seeing the same thing. We are definitely moving into another great financial crisis. And we're going to see these massive ups and massive downs. Warning signs, red flags everywhere. We've seen this before. And of course, we already had Jack Lew, the Treasury head, out there saying the economy is absolutely fine. Obama coming out saying, yes, this is great for the economy. This means we're recovering. But we know this is not a recovery. This is a complete and utter collapse of the system. Now, we're going to see this up and down movement unless something else occurs, like a black swan event. Maybe a natural disaster, or maybe more like a terror attack, or war. This way they can blame this on something else besides themselves. Because again, they do not want to be blamed for any of this. This is why they're already pointing the finger at China. They'll point the finger at Russia, North Korea. They don't care who they're pointing at as long as it's not them. So we are definitely seeing this whole thing start to fall apart right now. Now, coming from the World Bank, the chief economist there, he's putting out a warning that the Federal Reserve will cause panic and turmoil if it raises interest rates. And of course, we understand that the emerging markets, they'll be completely destroyed. We know here in the United States, things will completely deteriorate very, very quickly. It will not be able to hold. And we know this. And eventually what's going to happen is this whole system is going to be coming down. There's no other way to look at this. Yes, they're going to try pumping it up. They're going to do their best. They're going to do whatever it takes. The high-frequency traders, the plunge protection team. I mean, look at the market today. It barely finished where it was today. I mean, yesterday it was completely down. Today, they got it to 77 points. But when we look at Europe and Asia, they were down deep. Eventually, they're going to lose control. Eventually, they will not be able to keep up with the selling. And this is why each and every one of you needs to be prepared, needs to be ready. You don't want to go out at the last minute to get your supplies. Not a good time to do it, because you and about, a couple million people are going to be saying, what is going on here? Why is this happening? I better go out to the market and get my supplies. It's almost like when a storm's coming, like a hurricane. All of a sudden, people run in and they buy as much water as they possibly can. The shelves are completely empty. They buy batteries. Those shelves are completely empty. They buy milk. Everyone buys milk when there's a disaster coming. They buy tons of milk. That is completely gone. The same thing's going to happen, and you don't want to be in that situation. This is why you need to continually prep. I mean, look how people get when Walmart, during Black Friday, they put something on sale. People have no problem pushing people out of the way and trampling over them just to get, that ridiculous DVD player, the HD TV, or the computer? So they have no problem hurting someone to get that product. What are they going to do when they need food or water and other supplies for their family? Do you think they're going to be walking down the aisle going, excuse me, I just want to reach over and get that case of water? No. They're going to grab it, shove you down, and run. And you don't want to be in that situation. Not at all. And this is why you need to stock up. If you haven't stocked up and you want to start, you can go to lifereliance.com. They have food. They have prepackaged stuff, seeds, bug out bags, water filtration systems, you name it, they have it. If you're going to Sam's Club, BJ's, the supermarket, Amazon, and this is your preference, continually stock up what you need. Do not stop. Even if the corporate media tells you everything is fine, I wouldn't believe them. I certainly don't. And we all need to continue stocking. Now, at this point, everyone realizes how I feel about Obamacare. I never thought it was a positive for the people. It was a benefit for the people. And we're starting to see that the taxes and the penalties are really now outweighing the benefits of health insurance. Because when a government is saying this is for the people, then it should be for the people. It shouldn't be with other things attached to it. If you truly wanted to give health insurance, then just give health insurance. We don't need penalties, because if it's that good, we'll take it. But when it's terrible and not a benefit to the people, we're not going to take it. And they knew this. This is why they needed the taxes, the penalty, you name it. They had to put it in there to force people into this. And we're seeing the rates continually go up. And something you might not know, 22% of Obamacare enrollees right now dropped their coverage this year because they got their bills and they said, whoa, this is I can't afford this. I'd rather take the penalty. I mean, there are other reasons why people dropped. One of them would be about 500,000 people who enrolled, they couldn't prove their citizenship. And right now, non-citizens are prohibited from purchasing insurance. So we have a mixed bag here of why people are dropping the health insurance. And more people are going to drop because, as we know and what we talked about, is these premiums are going to skyrocket. And the benefit is not there. The taxes are. The penalties, which is really the taxes, are all there. The penalties for the corporations are there. But the benefits really aren't. So we can see at this point in time that this was definitely not for the people. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.